Hey there, YouTube. It's me, Broken Terrain, and I'm bringing you part 2 of my modular townhouse video. I've got it all painted up and looking great, so come along and I'll show you after the drop. Now, before I can jump right to the painting, I had a few things I had to take care of. I had to add a little bit of the remnants of a fire in the fireplace. So a couple pieces of foam, some tinfoil texture, glue down some of that craft sand, and then I snapped a couple toothpicks into some little firewood shapes and white PVA glued them. I also had this little set of stairs I had made for a different project. It's going to work great, and a dollar store craft bead will work well for the handle of my door. Now for the painting, I wrote down the painting of this house, what colors I used and the methods, so that I could replicate this throughout my city or my small town project. As you recall in the first video, I'm going to make several of these buildings so that I can create a village or a town or a city road lined with shops for different encounters and scenarios. I start by painting the roof a cobalt blue, and then I go in with turquoise and I hit individual shingles. And this is just going to help give the color a lot of variation, and it's going to look really cool after the washes and the dry brushing. It's going to be very subtle, but still extremely noticeable, and add a real nice depth to your paint work. And I do this multiple times on different surfaces. The second is the field stone. I'm going to start with a base coat of an elephant gray from Apple Barrel. And I originally planned on doing all the brick in gray, with the exception of the chimney in red. And the red turns out so good that I changed my mind halfway through. After the gray dries, I go back in with a honey brown, a Mississippi mud, a burnt umber, possibly a fourth color that I can't quite recall at the moment, and just paint out individual bricks on my field stone. Very similar to my modular magnetic terrain video. I loved the look, and I thought I'm gonna carry that over to the other aspects of the building. Next, I move on to paint the chimney. I use a flamenco red. It's a nice dark brick looking red, and I love it. It's a great color, and the red makes it pop. When you make terrain, you're always using grays and browns and greens, so it's amazing to actually get a chance to pop some color. And this is my second color pop. I got that beautiful blue roof, and now I'm gonna hit this house with this gorgeous red chimney. So after going in with a small brush around the edges, I grab a big brush and fill in those blocks of color with that flamenco red. Once done, I'm going to grab my burnt umber. That's my base for the brown. And I'm just going to hit all these small bits and pieces, so that stairway and then the different signs for my storefronts. And then I'm going to go to the house itself and hit all the woodwork, trying to be careful not to get brown on any of the surfaces that I've already painted. I use a small brush to get in near the edges, and then I'll go back in with the bigger brush to really lay down color fast. The windows were probably the biggest pain in the butt. My windows are left open. That way I can stick a tea light in the middle of the floor and I can get a flickery light out of the windows, which I really like, but it means the windows need to stay open and visible, and so you've got to paint on the insides of all those rungs, and then all the different angles, the bottoms of the boards that stick out slightly, the tops of them. It takes a little while. And then with a buttermilk, an off-white, I will go in and I will paint the textured parts, the drywall-esque areas, with that buttermilk white. And it looks really bright and a little silly at the moment, but it looks so much better when you go in with a wash. Now you can see the rest of my brick is still gray here. I go back in with this Harvest Orange and paint individual bricks on the red. And when I am done with the chimney, doing it this way, I fell in love. I fell in love with my chimney. That flamenco red and that Harvest Orange brickwork, just beautiful. I loved it. And I thought, man, now I've done it. Now I have to redo all the bricks in that flamenco red with Harvest Orange highlighted bricks. So, hey, that's exactly what I did. Go in with the small brush, hit those edges, then come back in with the larger brush and just lay down lots of color. I added a lot more work, but look at it. Wow. Oh my God, that red brick is beautiful. Now it's time for dry brushing. And this might be the single best shot I've ever gotten of dry brushing at work. I'm dry brushing with the honey brown. That's going to lighten up my burnt umber wood. I get those signs too, being very careful not to paint over the symbols. I was super happy with how those signs turned out, and they look amazing when they're on the fully painted building. Can't wait to share them with you. And my favorite is this sword and board. God, it looks good. I'm just hitting the edges, trying to pick up that wood grain that I applied with that brass wire brush in the first part. And now we're at the wash stage, and you can see those very bland buttermilk walls on the black base coat. When you add a brown wash to them, they come alive. They're exactly what I'm looking for. I don't even hit these with a dry brush after. This is perfect, at least in my eyes. And then I turn to my homemade black wash. Still maybe a little too potent, but I end up enjoying the results anyway. So it's just a healthy dose of black wash for everything except for that white stucco, which has been hit with the brown wash. I love what the black wash does to the fieldstone. Sinks into the little cracks and crevices, makes all those individual stones pop. Now the roof gets a coat of the black wash. And here she is, all washed up, looking good. Now it's time to lighten things back up, give a little more depth of color. So I'm going to go back in and just give everything a nice subtle dry brush. I had plans I had plans to dry brush in all kinds of different colors and then go back in and highlight with a different color. But I got lazy. YouTube, I'm sorry, I got lazy. Everything got hit with the dry brush of granite gray. It's a lighter gray. It blended the brick with the stone. It adds a nice touch to the wood. I don't know. Don't judge me, YouTube. I got lazy. Used granite gray to dry brush everything. It still looks good. I'm happy. And honestly, if I'm happy, then that's all that counts, right? Right? Sure. Hit that roof. Possibly my favorite step. Dry brushing the roof. All the shingles pop. All that hard work. Not hard work, right? Part 1, you saw how I did my shingles. Nice and simple and fast. And YouTube, look at them. Look how good those shingles look. I can't wait. Hit the bands and the doorknob with a little gunmetal. There we go. Looking good. What do you think, YouTube? There she is. Not quite done yet, though. When I did make those shingles, there's some gouges, like some shingles broke off, and I'm going to utilize those. I'm going to squirt a little white PVA in there, use a brush to get it into the recesses and cracks, and I'm going to use my flocking material to add a nice mossy look to patches of the roof. I also go back to some of the brickwork too. This is how I hide really bad brickwork. If I've got spaces and it looks like you could kind of drive a Mack truck through some of those areas, I'll squirt a little PVA glue in there, push it in the crack with the brush, and then I'll just flock. Hit it with some flock, and it'll look like moss is growing into the cracks of the brick. It's pretty effective and a good way to hide some sloppy brickwork. I think I do one on the chimney. There we go. Get to it, broken. Show those folks. Yeah, there you go. Little glue in the crack. And some flock. This is just going to add a nice little touch to your brickwork and hide the fact that your bricks have lots of gaps and spaces. After taking it outside and hitting it with a satin clear coat, we're all set, and I invite you to take a look at a table setup. We've got Tinley and her Shamrock Boys, and they've encountered my Orc War Band on the road in front of the Sword and Board Cafe. Who will win? I don't know. Kids, run for cover. Duck inside. A battle like none other is about to take place. And don't forget, the whole building is fully playable. Here you see the owners of the cafe staring out the window in horror at the battle about to take place outside. Turned out great. This is a great start to my modular town. I can't wait to do more. And don't forget, we go from the Sword and Board Cafe to the Turkey Leg Diner. Or something like that. Don't like the diner? Well, how about a potion shop? Perfect. And if I want just a cozy little cabin, no signs at all. Thank you so much for watching. If you liked the video, please hit that like button. If you like what I'm doing in this channel, please subscribe and share these videos with your friends. I really appreciate it. Until next time, YouTube, like each other. love each other, and craft on.